60 days. Today is 50. I am already beginning to think how I will make each month, from month to week, week to day, each day count. I mean, it can never get better. I'm trusting God that I won't fall by the side this time. I
No,
will
you
run
won't.
until I get to the mark.
If you keep following the growth factory, I can assure you that you know. So I like that energy. I like that energy, and I will say that same year. This year the anticipation is so high, and I've personally, taken up some new habits, right, which I strongly believe I will be able to sustain, especially because a lot of lives are at stake, right? So, all right, Dan, you want to share you raised your hand.
Yes, good evening, sir. Um, Thank you for what you do for us. Happy New Year again. Yeah, it's all for a good start. 5 days and a lot of things are already rolling, and the
Yeah,
plans. I think starting with the mindset of last year was necessary to, like Mr. Steven has said, like there's a lot of high expectation for the years. God has even helped me to put a lot of strategic plans in place. Is and God, I believe that God will help with in execution and speed. That
yeah,
to make the goal achievable even in shorter time than maybe the 10 years, and would make the plans that one is having give God one speed in execution and even in results, even more time, much more than even the expectation. So the year, 5 days, and it's been a lot of brooding, a lot of planning, and a lot of seeing into the months to come. I have been having several discussions, friends, acquaintances, jobs. So there's been a lot of planning, and some of them has already started rolling out. And I thank God because he actually fed in from a lot that we have been discussing since last year,
yeah,
and that helped in repositioning how you think about certain things and start saying, okay, what are the things we have to put in place? Now that we know this, what must we do? Yeah, so I think it's really very helpful, and I think these conversations we've been having actually been hitting the right places.
yeah,
Yes, so hitting the right places.
yeah, yeah. I'm super excited to hear all of these things. And if this is your first time connecting with us on the Growth Factory, you will not actually understand what you're missing until you go back to some of the previous episodes and you try to catch up with the conversations. It's been super amazing here. And I want to say, welcome to 2026, everyone. I'm super excited. I am Delia Bankole. I am your billionaire coach. And our vision in the Growth Factory is to raise 1,000 African billionaires by 2035. Yes, so we started laying the foundation last year. This year we're going to build upon it massively, right? But before we talk too much on that, let's talk about our conversation today. So our vision here is to catalyze the new generation of visionary African entrepreneurs building 1,000 billionaires by 2035 through strategic education, structured support, and scalable ecosystems, right? So, how do we want to achieve that? We'll keep you, with transformative knowledge, strategic tools, growth capital, and a supportive community so that you can build sustainable, globally competitive businesses, right? So that's basically why we are here, why the Growth Factory exists, and other things that come with the Growth Factory that will be unfolding as as time rolls in, because this year is going to be massive. You're going to experience a whole lot. And I want to say you are in the right place. If you're thinking of how to build, you're thinking of, oh, I need a community, I need a support group where I can start from nothing and I can see myself growing, and then in 5 years, and I can say, this is how this is my net worth. In 10 years, this is my net worth, right? If you are that person, then you belong to the right community. I tell you, this is going to be massive, right? So this is week 5 of Growth Factory. We've had 4 weeks already. So if you missed the previous 4 weeks, I want to encourage you to go to our YouTube channel and catch up, right? Boardroom NG, Boardroom. We talk about strategies, for winning, right? So one of the things I've realized personally is how chaotic our world has been right now. Everything, the chaos is massive, right? So you realize that a lot of people are confused. We're asking a lot of questions, don't even know what is happening, right? We live in in a world that is not stable. We live, everywhere is noisy. It's looking like chaos is becoming the new normal. Like everything is just chaotic as you're trying to, get used to a particular news, then something else comes up, right? So, and one of the things we need to realize is that growth without order is expensive movement. You will look like you are moving, but that movement is going to cost you a lot at the end of the day. And that's why we say, look, can we just look at ourselves and even look at what exactly are we building on? Let's create some order, right? Let's create some order. So what is this all about, right? So today we're looking at order is a new growth, right? So we walk through the framework. It's a framework, and I can tell you this framework is going to be a master class, like a 3 days master class. But for the sake of the growth factory, we'll run it through 5 weeks, right? So we'll take each leg of the framework each week and run it through 5 weeks, right? So we are privileged to be a part of it, right? So as time goes by, we'll be having some of these master classes where we put us in a room and then we can have some extensive conversations about some of the things we share and some other things that are in the offing that bringing out as time goes by, right? So there are problems. So effort without clarity, we don't define objective, right? And how to filter a real objective. Then one of the things we're going to end with, which is very important, is at the end of our conversation today, you will be able to understand what we call the one objective filter. You might not have ever read anything like this in a book, right? Because it came from the place of depth, the place of meditation. So there is this thing called one objective filter, which is what we use to close the conversation tonight. So please invite your friends, share this video with someone. Very, very crucial. So let's go. So today's reality is that we live in a world that is not stable. I said that before, and you know what? The future does not belong to people who are busy. The future belongs to those who are clear. It is not about how busy you are, it's about how clear you are. The future does not belong to the busiest. The future belongs to the clearest, the clearest. The clearer you are, the more you can say that, yes, the future is mine. So today's reality is that there's chaos everywhere. Chaos everywhere. Very important, right? So, and what then that means is that, order is not about control, it's about clarity. Sometimes you feel like, oh, I want to be in control. You can't really be in control. There are many things you will never be able to control in your life. There is your sphere of control, there's your sphere of influence, and there's a sphere that is just beyond you, right? For example, I can't control what another person eats or what they say, but I can control my reaction to what they say. I can't control. Right now, I am not in the parliament. I don't belong to government. So I can't control the policies that will come from our government. But I have control over how I respond to the policy. And the people around me, I can influence a few people. I say, look, guy, it's not as bad as you think, right? So there are some things I can control, there are some things I can influence, but there are some there are many more things that are just beyond what I can control and influence, right? But one of the things about life is when you have order in your life and you are able to focus on the things that you can control, then the things you can influence becomes bigger. And as you focus on the things you can control and influence, then what you can influence also gets bigger. Before you know it, who knows? You think that you cannot influence the policies today, but who knows what's going to happen in the next 3-4 years? You could eventually become a policy maker, because as you focus on what you can control, then all of these things begin to expand right before you. And that's what we're talking about. Order is very critical. Order is critical. So order is not how you build, but sorry about that. Order is how you build when the world is unstable. The whole world is chaotic, right? So before speed, you need direction. Before speed, you need to know exactly where you're going. You need to know. So it is not about how fast you run. It is about how fast you run in the right direction. I don't know if some of us are aware with the track event, right? If you're doing a track event, right, it doesn't matter how fast you run in a track event. So what matters is that you run to win. That's what matters in a track event. Very, very critical, right? So you run according to the rules. You don't break the rank. You don't cross another person's line. Once you cross another person's line, even if you get to the finish line first, you are disqualified, right? So it's important that you understand the rules and principles. So before you execute, you need order. So what order? Objective. Objective simply means, what do you really want? What exactly do you want? We're going to break it down over the next 5 weeks, like I told us. Then the other one is readiness. Where are you now? In relation to the dream that you have in your heart, where are you now? And the other part of it is direction. Direction means, what must you pursue? And of course, what must you abandon? In fact, this one, it's this week, that week 3, you don't want to miss it for anything. Why? Because we're going to x-ray all your activities. There are some things you must cut. We're going to talk about it. You'll be shocked that the thing you feel drawn to the most may still be the same thing that is preventing you from achieving your most important goals. So we're going to talk about that. Then the fourth one is execution. How will you get there? Very important. And then review what stays, what kills, and what dies. So keep talking about that as as we progress, right? So like I said, the problem really is that a lot of people stay busy, but they are stuck. How do you know you are stuck, even though you are very busy? If you look at your years, it's looking like you're not making any real progress as such, right? So you look at your life, you look at the effort you put into the things you do. Sometimes you stay up, late at night, you do a lot of courses, you attend a lot of conferences, you have a lot of things that you do because you want to prove to yourself that you are not lazy. But at the end of the day, you are not getting results. You are not seeing things, right? So it means that you're busy, but you are stuck. You are busy, but progress is eluding you, right? So that's basically, is a problem a lot of people have. So most businesses or most people don't lack effort. They only lack an objective, which is where we're going for today. They only lack an objective, right? So when everything is important to you, nothing is. Everything is important. You must be here, you must be there, you must be there. I know people who must attend every party, must must be in everybody's house, must be at every event, they must be everywhere. When everything becomes important to you, that means nothing is important to you, right? Like they say, a jack of all trades, a master of none. That just drives it home for you, right? So if everything is important, you attach the same scale of importance to everything happening around you, then it means that you really don't understand what it means to, to have an objective, right? So that means that nothing is really important to you, right? So busy is not a badge of honor, right? Busy is, in fact, busy is often a symptom of confusion, right? So it's not a badge of honor that you are busy, that you are everywhere. We can be everywhere doing nothing. I know a lot of people who say they call themselves serial entrepreneurs. Serial entrepreneurs they are still broke. Why? Because they are trying to do everything. I met a guy one day and I felt so sorry. This guy is so broke. He's working, but he never has money. In fact, he's earning salary, but he doesn't have. So I engaged him one day and I asked the guy, what do you do? The guy told me like 10 things that he was doing. I said, what? With this job you are doing, you still have enough time to do this one, to do that one, like 10 other things. I'm like, man, and I understand why you are not making progress. So I told him, I said, see, the reason you are broke is because you are trying to do so many things and people cannot trust you because they can't trust your deliverable. They can't trust the fact that you are going to do a good job for them because you are everywhere. But if they know you for one thing over time, then they can say, oh, I think this guy has stayed in this business for long, long enough to know to be able to find his way around it. But if people cannot trust you, I'm telling you, they will not give you their money, right? So, like I said, business is not a badge of honor. Motion is not progress. That you are moving doesn't mean you are making progress. Some people are just going in circles, like when they're just going in circles, right? And why do people do that? Because they are busy without a clear objective. So you can't really execute what you can't define. If you can't define it, you can't execute it. Even if it happens by chance, you won't be stressed out at the end of the day. I don't know if it has happened to you. I have experienced it before. When I didn't understand what it means to have an objective, right? You say you want to achieve something. By the time you achieve that thing, you are so tired, you are so worn out that you have lost the joy of having an achievement. It's because there was no clear definition of how to achieve it. If you have the definition of what you want to achieve or where you are going, then the journey becomes interesting because you already know how it will end. So the journey is interesting. But if the journey is frustrating, you're fighting everybody, you're angry at everybody, right? It just shows that you don't really know exactly where you're going. So if you can't define it, you can't execute it. And what happens is that vague goals create scattered execution. When your goals are scattered, when your goals are vague, then the execution will be scattered. You will be everywhere. You'll be everywhere, right? And what it means is that you'll be wasting your energy and then you will kill the momentum. And if by reason of chance, after so much blood and sweat, you achieve it, you would have lost the joy of achieving it by the time you get to the end of it. Why? Because there's no clarity. There's no clarity, right? So one of the things we need to understand is that real scaling is subtraction before addition. We're still going to talk a bit, I'm just giving you a broad understanding of what the other principle is about, right? So but we still talk about it. So for you to really scale, when you talk about scaling this year, it is first cutting before adding. It is first this is first division before multiplication. So you need to look at yourself and say, look, some things must just go. Some things must die. If you want to hold on to who you have always been, then you will have the results you've always had. If you want to have the kind of results you've never had, then one thing is certain. You must become the person you have never been. That's very critical, very critical. So let's look at what an objective is not. So remember, the first step in order is objective. What exactly is an objective? So let's look at what it is not. An objective is not a wish. I wish to have this, I wish to have that. When you can't define exactly what you want, it is a wish. It is not an objective. An objective is clearly defined. An objective is not a prayer point. I know in Africa, we are so religious, we like to pray. I do, right? But it is not an objective because you are praying about it. It is an objective when you are clear exactly what you want and how you are going to go about it. So if your prayer can lead you to clarity, then it becomes an objective. But if it stays in the realm of, oh, I'm praying, forget it. It is just another prayer point. It is not an objective. An objective is not a motivational quote. The fact that you see it put somewhere, you have to aspire to perspire so that you won't expire, right? So the fact that you have seen a motivational quote somewhere does not mean that you have an objective. Because after a while, when push comes to shove, when you face some real difficulties or challenges, I'm telling you, the motivational quote will not be able to sustain you. So because it's not an objective. So an objective is not we'll try our best. You know, when you're talking to someone, say, just leave it, we'll try our best. No, try your best. Or like some people say in our part of, but it is well. It is well is not an objective. You should be able to design or define exactly where you're going. So then what is an objective? First, an objective is a decision. Hey, an objective is a decision. You must decide exactly where you're going. There's this popular story, illustration, that there are two birds, standing on a line. And then they said one of the birds decided, or one of the birds thought of flying, and they said, how many birds are still on the line? So, and then someone say, oh, there's one bird, right? So, but there are two, because it is still an intention until a decision becomes a commitment. Then what you have is just a wish. So an objective is a decision with a commitment that whatever happens, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it. So as you plan your 2026, as you plan the things you want to do, where you are going, you must put commitment to the decision. Whatever you've written down, if you don't commit to do it, you won't do it, right? For me, one of my commitments this year is that I will always show every Monday, 7 p.m., right? So it's a commitment. I know it will not always be easy. Like today, I almost, if you remember when I, posted the reminder, right? Because there are a lot of things I needed to attend to, at work and all of that. But a decision, a commitment, then that becomes an objective. So your decision, very important, and back it up with commitment. You tell yourself, even when I don't feel like it, even when it doesn't seem to make sense, I will do what I need to do. An objective is a filter. A filter helps you to remove debris. There are some things that they look so tiny, but I'm telling you, they can move the pain by a lot of degrees. So an objective helps you to filter what is important. Like I said earlier, if everything is important to you, that means nothing is important to you. Very critical. In fact, if all the people you call your clients are important to you, nothing is important. We'll still talk about, the Pareto principle. I think in week 3, yes, we still talk about, filtering down, on stuff, right? Andrew, you need to mute. You're disturbing us right now, right? So an objective is a filter. Number 3, an objective is a constraint. Is a constraint. Not everything that appeals to you is good for you. In fact, somebody said that not everything good is God. Not everything good is God. The fact that it is good does not mean it is good for you. The fact that it is good, not every opportunity is good for you. It may be a good opportunity, but it may not be a good opportunity for you. So an objective is a constraint. So you constrain yourself to remain within the bounds of the things you said you would do, even when there are a lot of good opportunities around you. Then an objective is permission to say, like, I'm not going to do this. And then you stay with it like, yes, I've decided. So let's look at 3 filters of your real objective. I know that if you're used to SMART, you have heard of something like this, so I won't stay too long here because I'm trying to get us to that point where we talk about the one objective. That's like the icing on our conversation tonight, right? So a real objective must be specific. What exactly are you trying to achieve? What exactly are you trying to achieve? For us in Growth Factory, we are raising 1,000 billionaires by 2035. That is what we are trying to achieve. And all our conversations will be around how to build a structure that can outlive you so that you can make that kind of money predictably, so I can make that kind of money effortlessly, so that even when you are not there, that system can run, because that is what billionaires do. They build businesses that can run without them. They empower people to run the businesses, right? So that's basically the things the conversations we'll be having over the next 10 years, right? And I'm sure that by the time we get to the end of this year, some people will be knocking at the door. Maybe some people will start in Naira, then maybe after 1 or 2 years, then they move to dollars, right? So we are going to get there, trust me. We're going to get there. So if you're Nigerian, your first goal should be at least make the billion in Naira. Then we can be talking about making it in dollars, right? So which is going to be the ultimate goal by 2035. So clarity kills confusion. If you know exactly, so let me give you an example. Let's assume that you work in a place where you have a uniform that you wear maybe on certain days. So there's a day you wear maybe a red shirt. There's a day you wear a yellow shirt. There's a day you wear a green shirt. So it is already clear that this is our dress code in our organization, right? If you have only one green shirt, on the day you are supposed to wear a green shirt, will you be going through your wardrobe and be wondering, what am I supposed to wear today? I don't think you will be having that conversation, because you already know that according to your company policy, on Wednesdays you wear green. And you have only one green shirt. So all you have to do is to dry clean it. If you can't dry clean, you iron it yourself. And then you make sure that you put it, you wear it and you go. So clarity kills confusion. But when it is not clear what you're supposed to wear, then sometimes you can do 30 minutes wondering, oh, should I wear this? Should I wear that? But if you've decided ahead that this is what I'm going to wear tomorrow morning, by the time you wake up, it is plug and play. Like we say in the planning, it's plug and play, right? So clarity kills confusion. The number 3, if it can mean anything, it means nothing. Like I said earlier, if everything is important to you, then nothing is important to you. So if it means anything, just say anything. What do you want to eat? Anything. Where are you going? Anywhere. If you are going anywhere, then you are not going nowhere. You are going nowhere. That's what it means. You can't be going anywhere. Somebody rises up and you ask him, guy, where are you going? He said, anywhere. That means that the guy is insane, because it's only somebody who is out of their mind that can get out of their house without knowing where they are going. So if you don't know where you are going, then everywhere looks like it, right? So very important. So the second filter we're looking at today is that a real objective is measurable. A real objective is measurable. By how much do you want to achieve it? By how much do you want to achieve it? If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. That's the truth. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. How do you know you are growing when you can't even manage, you can't measure what you're doing, right? So what gets measured gets attention. What gets measured gets traction. What gets measured gets done. So I'll say those three things again. What gets measured gets attention. What gets measured gets traction. What gets measured gets done. If you can't measure it, I can assure you, you're not going to do anything about it. You can start, but after a while, you will lose steam. You will lose the energy. You won't be able to give it the push that you need to give it. So once you can't measure your traction, you can't measure your growth, it goes down. And that's why if you look at like that's all I'm saying, I like social platforms, and all of that, they help you with metrics that shows whether you are growing or not, that shows whether you are making progress or not, right? So the same way you need to put metrics in everything you do. An objective must have the right metrics to show that, yes, so by the time we start, and the people in our community can say, okay, now I am worth $1 billionaire. Now I am worth $1 billion. We can track it. We can track it. We can say, yes, we have grown to that point. And we're going to get there, trust me. We're going to get there. So it's measurable and it's time bound. When do you want to achieve it? 1,000 billionaires measurable by 2035. Time bound, 2035. What do you want to achieve in January, March, in June, by July, in September, by December 2026? It has to be time bound, because one of the things with deadlines that it creates discipline. And someday is not a strategy. I will do it someday. You will never do it, because you will never have that push, that energy, that drive to get it done. But once there's a deadline, you know that this thing must be done. Why do you think that people are able to complete school? Because there's a timeline. You do 12 weeks of lecture, then you do exam, then you move to the next semester, right? So it's all there. Everything is timed. So you know that in 3 years, in 4 years, you are done with your course. Everything is bound, time. But when you do online programs that doesn't have a time bound to it, what do you think happens? Sometimes you can do one course for 1 year. Why? Because you can do it anytime. So anytime is no time. But if you know that this course opens January 6th and it's going to close by February 26th, and whatever it is you do, every week there is a task for you to do, so you know that if you miss your deadline, you miss your mark. So deadlines create discipline. That's what we're saying. Deadlines create discipline. Very critical. I hope, we are getting value for our time today, right? So I'm going to quickly move to the last part, which I said. So let's look at this principle, one objective principle. Now, this is what it means. We all know that only one key can open a lock. Yes, I know that sometimes keys have duplicates, but it's only one key that can open a lock, at least per time, right? So the idea of the one objective principle, right, is to help us appreciate, right, is to help us realize that you cannot do everything, right? For you to have real growth, you need to have one primary objective that forms the foundation for every other objective you want to achieve. I'll say that again. For you to achieve real growth, right, you need a primary objective that forms the foundation for every other objective that you want to achieve. Without that primary defining objective, you realize that you have so many objectives, and at the end of the day, you cannot achieve any of them. So, growth requires one primary objective, right? If you have 10 priorities, that means you have 0 priorities. You won't achieve anything. If you have 10 priorities, all of them the same scale, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 priorities on a scale of 1 to 10, all of them are 10 for you. I can assure you of one thing: you won't achieve any of them. So, you need to tell yourself, in this business, what is the primary objective? What is the foundation objective that other objectives can rest on? Very critical, right? So, focus is a leadership decision, not a personality trait. So you can't tell yourself, oh, it's just who I am. I don't know how to focus on one thing. You are deceiving yourself. So what is that one objective that if you set it and you achieve it, it makes other objectives easy for you to achieve? You need to think about it and then work towards it. So if everything matters, execution collapses. You want to take everything, you're trying to do everything at the same time. I'm telling you, it's going to affect your execution. And I see that a lot of organizations don't achieve their objectives because they want to do everything. And they want to put the same level of energy to achieving everything. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. I know for those of us in Africa, you'll be able to agree with me. So somebody is coming into power and they say, oh, we have a 7-point agenda. 7 points. Some people, we have 10-point agenda. Okay, give us 1 point and focus on that 1 point. Eventually, they do the 10 things they say they will do, but you can't feel their impact. Nothing changes. Why? Because there is a lot of diffraction. There's a lot of division, diversion of energy. So you can't focus. Like we learned in physics back then, that when you focus sun rays, with the focal length on paper, just focus the rays. Before you know it, it will generate heat that can burn that paper. That's the power of focus. That's the power of focus. So most people don't fail. It's just that they diffuse. They diffuse. Their energy is diffused. Not like they failed. Instead of putting the energy into one important, critical, very, very crucial thing, then they try to diffuse their energy into so many things, and eventually they don't achieve anything. So I will say this to you as your coach: you don't need more goals. Trust me. You actually need fewer goals. So you don't need goals. We're still going to talk a bit about this when we get to week 3, right? You don't need more goals. Trust me. You don't need more goals. You just need one critical, important goal. You don't need more goals, right? So your next level, that thing you're praying about, oh, I'm moving to this level, is eating in focus. That thing you're praying about is eating in focus. Just focus on doing one thing excellently well, and then you'll be surprised how that will work out for you. So let me leave you with 3 questions before we move into the practical part of this. If you can write it down, just write it. It's not in the slide, right? So just right now, let me ask you 3 questions, right? So if this year ends well, what one thing must have changed that will help you in defining your one objective principle? If this year ends well, what one thing, what one critical thing, what one crucial thing must have changed? If you can look back December 31st, 2026, and you say, wow, it was a good year. What is one thing that needs to change if indeed this year was a good year? Think about it. Then number 2, what outcome would make most of your current activity unnecessary? Think about what I said. What outcome, right? What outcome would make most of your current activities unnecessary? So the first question is, if this year ends well, what one thing must have changed? The second one, what outcome would make most of your current activity unnecessary? Right? Then the third question, are you building results or you are protecting routines? Are you building for results or you are protecting routines? There are many of us who just want to protect our routines. You are so used to it. You wake up at a certain time, you must do certain things. In fact, those things have become rituals to you, such that if you don't do it, you feel like you are not fulfilled. You feel like you have not done anything, right? So if you find yourself like that, ask yourself, the thing you are protecting and guarding so jealously, is it actually bringing the outcome you desire, or it is just a routine for you? If it's a routine, ask yourself, do you want to keep routines or you want results? Billionaires don't focus on routines. If it's not working, kill it. Just kill it, right? So let's go through the exercise right now. We're going to close with this, right? So your practical exercise. So how do you build your one objective filter? How do you build your one objective filter? Number 1, write down everything you want to achieve this year. Now, because of time, I will not wait for you to do all of this, but in your leisure, I expect that you go back and just do this for yourself. I'll try to share this in the growth factory. So if you are not in the growth factory, you're saying this, I want to encourage you to please. There's a link in the description on joining the growth factory. So all our resources will be put. So I'm going to dump this there so you can become it. So don't edit, just dump. What are those things you want to achieve? Everything. Then number 2, read the list slowly. If you are reading the list slowly, you see that some things are competing for your attention. Some things are competing. You want to do masters, you want to do certification, you want to do, some people are thinking of doing like 3, 4, 5 certifications the same year, and all of them will run the same time. So tell me, even if you pass all of them, how many things will you remember at the end of the day? So if you spaced out, maybe when each of them run for 3 months and you say, okay, I want to use the first quarter to do this, the second quarter, that's fine. But if you're going to be doing all of those things at the same time, you may achieve it, but at the end of the day, you're going to be worn out, right? And eventually, you may not even remember anything. So, but read the list slowly and notice those things that are competing for attention. Number 3, circle one objective. Circle the one objective that makes the rest easier, smaller, or irrelevant. Circle that one objective that makes the rest easier, smaller, or irrelevant. Then number 4, everything else gets packed or killed, right? So what we are saying is, By the time you find that one, whatever is left, you pack them and just push them aside and focus on that, such that in achieving that one objective, then every other thing can be easier, can be smaller, and it can be relevant, right? Sometimes you think that this is actually what you need, but I can assure you from experience that what you think you need may not necessarily be what you need. So by doing this exercise, I've done this quite a number of times, and it's helped me to focus on the things that are important. So this year, I've told myself, I'm not going to be racking myself running around. I'm going to focus on my community. I'm going to focus on building and empowering my community. That is the critical thing. Because if we achieve this 1,000 billionaires, man, I'm telling you, I'm going to be the most fulfilled man on earth. That through me, I can see 1,000 people rise from the ashes, right? So it's going to take a lot. It's not going to be just something, a walk on the park. All of us are going to walk. You must do your work, right? But on your journey to becoming a billionaire, what is one thing you must do, especially this year, which forms part of the 10 years? If you can see the 10 years ahead, is very easy. In fact, it makes it a lot easier. What one thing must you start doing now that if you do it well and you excel at it, every other thing you want to do in your life becomes easier, becomes smaller, becomes relevant. Some become relevant, some become smaller, some become easier, right? So you need to find it, right? So you need to understand that it's not like you are quitting those things. It's just that you are choosing. You're choosing, right? And when we say you are pruning is cutting off something to make it, more robust, right? Pruning itself is preparation, is not punishment. So you need to be able to do that. So at the end of the day, this is what I want you to have, right? So at the end of the day, you're going to have one clear objective for the next 90 days. That's between now and March. What do you want to focus on for the next 3 months? And if you focus on this thing for the next 3 months, then it's going to be critical for your advancement. So what's that objective? In the next 90 days, my primary objective is to do this and this by March 31, 2026. In the next 90 days, my primary objective is to have a platform, create a product, create a particular service, is to by March 31, 2026, right? So that is the assignment I am giving you. That's the assignment I'm giving you. And I hope this has been helpful for someone today, right? So before we take the concluding part, let me ask 1 or 2 questions, right? So 5 of us in the room, right? So anyone wants to ask a question, or you want to maybe like highlight 1 or 2 things I've said before we wrap up. So let me allow 1 person, 1 or 2 persons, anyone you want to ask a question, or you want to highlight 1 of the things I've said. All right, Steve, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ayo.
Your volume is low. Can you please?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay, thank you so much for this. Like I said earlier, from last year to now, I don't want to have
you were louder than this the other time. This is really, really low. Are you using earpiece or something? I can put it in. Hello.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Far better.
Okay, it's better now, right?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. So I say thank you so much for this part. Yes, this my not really concern here is actually on this pruning of this main primary objective. Can you throw a little light more on it, on how to, because I think that is, to me, that is the major thing that has actually kept me stuck at times. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And the end.
But even Christ did not do all things.
So,
In fact,
I mean,
in fact, Christ's own was so unusual that even the people he was sent to, he did not. There were some groups he did not even preach to at all. Even though he came to save the whole world, right? So you said I should shed more light, right? So let me go back to this place, right? So this is it. In your trying to do everything, because I understand that survival is critical. One of these days, I will share about the 4 levels of power. I shared it somewhere like some 2 Sundays ago. Please mute now. It's echoing. Right. So I shared it somewhere like 2 Sundays ago. It was really, really mind-blowing. Right. So one of these days I will teach us the 4 levels of power. But see, survival is very critical, it's very important, especially now. But if you start your life on survival, there are some heights you will never attain. There are some heights you will never attain. It's just very important. So what we are saying is for you to attain a billionaire status, you need to tell yourself, what is one objective? What is one thing? It could even be, what is one business? Now, I was sharing with us last year in one of the classes, I asked somebody who attended this class, and he said he was a phone repairer. And I told him to his face, I said, as a phone repairer, you can never be a billionaire. I am not cursing him, but it can never happen. If you don't know what to do to make money to become a billionaire, you will never be one. Because the question is, how many phones will you be repairing in a day? Right? And then, so there has to be a next level. So there has to be that one thing you need to do that will be the next level for you, wherever you may be right now. Right? There has to be that next level for you. So you must find that next level and tell yourself, I am not going to do any other thing until I succeed in this one thing. So when you put yourself in that, then it helps you to move fast, right? So you're not trying to be everywhere. Look at the billionaires we have in the world today. Many of them started with one business. It is after that business has become successful that they started diversifying. Is it Dangote cement? Is it BUA cement? Is it Otedola oil? Is it TOE or Tony Elimelu, banking, finance, right? So it is after their one objective has succeeded that they now have the energy, the muscles to begin to diversify. And then now you see TOE in hospitality, you see in power, so because why? The banking is working. So what is that one thing that if you achieve it, will make the rest easier, smaller, or irrelevant? You must find it. If you don't have it yet as part of your goals, you want to go back and ask yourself, am I really serious about this billion thing they are talking about? You need to be sincere with yourself. Am I really serious about it? Because that is where the real goal is, right? So I hope I've answered the question.
Yeah. I think I will. I don't know if Growth Factory will permit me to chat to you personally in the course of the week. So
it's fine, please. It's fine. We can chat.
All right. I'm grateful, sir. Thank you.
All right. Good. So your clear objective for the next 3 months, very important. What are the things you'll be doing between now and March 31? very important, right? Then the next 90 days, your primary objective is this by March 31, 2026. It has to be clear in your mind exactly where you are going. You know, I learned a quote many years ago. I think I read it from the Success Principles, Jack Canfield. Well, that book is this big, 64 principles. And one of the things he said in that book, he said, the world steps aside to let any man pass who knows where he is going. The world steps aside to let any man pass who knows where he is going. The question is, do you know where you're going? So I want to say this, there's a pause, right? It's one of my products, right? Apart from being a certified life coach, I'm also a certified marriage coach. And I have this product I want you to explore, right? So the strategic marriage is a 12-week mentoring program for couples who position their marriage for global impact. Do you know any couple who they're planning to get married or they are already married, right? This resource is very, very critical for them, right? And if you're having issues in your home and you're thinking, oh, how do we resolve the issues and all of that? So there are two pathways to it. There is one, if one of your goals this year is to become a coach and you are considering becoming a family life coach. So this product also comes with a coaching package, right? You have 6 coaching sessions, 12 weeks mentoring program, you know, so it's personal. For the strategic marriage, that one you go on your own, you learn everything on your own. But for the strategic family blueprint for plus coaching, not only will you have access to the material, you also have access to coaching sessions, and you also have access to the tools that will help you to succeed as a family life coach. That is one of the ways you can actually build wealth. So descriptions on how you can purchase this would be in the comments, right? So I just thought to share that that's one product. Others will be keep coming up in the course of the year, right? So so feedback, what's your biggest takeaway from today, right? And what's one word that describes how you feel leaving this session? Can we have 1 or 2 persons? What's your biggest takeaway? Just 1 or 2, 1 or 2. We need to close now, right? Okay, Andrew, please go ahead. You raised your hand. What's your biggest takeaway from today? Please go ahead. You raised your hand.
Well,
okay, so it looks like we have more people joining while we're about wrapping up, right? Anybody wants to share? Anybody wants to share? It seems Andrew is not here. Andrew is obviously in another world. Right? Who wants to share? What's your biggest takeaway from this session? And how would you describe the session? Okay. Okay, Babs, please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. Thank you once again, sir. For me, it's when you were talking about objectives and that we have to douse the noise, and objectives has to be measurable. It has to be time bound. You have to, like, objectives has to be focused. And if it's not focused, if you are trying to do a whole lot, and you are everywhere, that everything is your business, then you're actually not in business. So that's one of the takeaways for me. And that idea of pruning things that you know that if you don't do them, every other thing will still stand. And identifying that one thing that if you do it, it would boost the others or make other things irrelevant. I think it's actually quite the highlight for me. And it's one of the things that I'm also going to be adding to my review or some of the plans I already have for the year. So, okay, these are some of the things you say want to do. Are they necessary now? Which one should I focus fully on? Like being laser focus on that will give me results that will enable the others.
Yeah.
And not stress me in the process, and give the highest return on investment in both time and resources put into it. So yes, that's being focused when outlining your objectives is actually the highlight for me. And pruning down, is many of us have learned that you have to add more, do more to achieve more. But the idea of pruning has not always been as much emphasized in the process of planning. That you actually need to prune and cut some things away to be able to be focused on the important thing. So yes, thank you so much. The session was actually powerful. I plan to actually go back and rewatch this, because I was doing a number of things while watching. I while listening, so I'll still go back and rewatch it to take some of the points I might have missed in the process.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. That's really beautiful. Right? So, yes, we need to go back. Even me, I go back again because I said some things that I've not thought of before, right? So, very critical. So, remember that your life inspires business, your business empowers your customers, and together we build a better world. So, remember, join the Growth Factory WhatsApp group. That's bit.ly/100x_growth. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Now we have 77 subscribers. I'm super excited about that, but I know we can do more, right? So once you see the videos, just keep sharing to your friends, like, comment. Let's drive more engagement on the video, right? The things you've learned or had, just put it there. I would really appreciate that we all do that. So till we see you again next week, I remain yours truly, your billionaire coach. I am Dele Ayobankole, and together we are building the Commonwealth of Africa. 1,000 billionaires 2035. Have a very beautiful week ahead. God bless you, and see you next week, same time, 7 p.m. West African time. Bye. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.